4, 3, 2. Hey, there's my friends. How you doing, guys? God bless you. So, when we talk about eschatology, it's a common criticism. Quote, every generation thought it was the last. Unquote. And that might be a bit extreme, but I understand the argument that there were times like during the change of a millennium, the change of a new 100-year cycle, or whatever the case may be. The people toward the end of that cycle often said that it was close to the end because there would be calamities happening in one problem after another. But the problem is, it's not a good criticism to even look at eschatology and even think that any of this stuff that we read about in Daniel and Revelation could have even happened before this modern age. In the first place, I remember being homeless, my friends, and sleeping in a church. And this church had the most magnificent library. And they had books from theologians that were old. By old, I mean like mid 1800s, early 1800s, and even a couple that were like very late 1700s, no kidding, in their library. And they allowed me to stay there and didn't say anything about it, kind of looked the other way. But I would spend my evenings in their library reading those old eschatological books. And something struck me. Some of these books were written, 50 years, 100 years, 150 years before Israel became a nation. And some of these books were prophesying that before the return of the Lord, Israel would have to be returned to its homeland, which no other nation has done that, been destroyed, carried away throughout all the world, remained a people, and then everywhere they went, remained a people, and then returned to their home 2,000 years later to become the nation again. That has never happened in the history of the world. And yet it was prophesied that this would happen. And that this would be part of the last days, part of the end of the end days. We talk about the 70th week, Jacob's trouble, the tribulations, all the same thing. And we say, we look at the signs around us and we see that we're nearing that time and that we should be excited and that we should be about the business of the Lord, doing the Lord's business, doing his will, doing what he would have us to do, whatsoever that may be. We should be out trying to encourage one another and bring in harvests, not discouraging one another, devouring one another, biting one another. No. Our job is to encourage one another and to share the gospel, bring in a harvest. That's our job. So, as we go around sharing what Jesus taught, some people look at eschatology and they get confused and there's so many questions, and I'll grant you that's the truth. But so many people are so intimidated to share these things with people because of this. But that's okay. You see, we should be able to discuss this without fighting, right? Love, lifting up one another. Doesn't matter. The Bible doesn't say we have to all believe the exact same thing. That's the goal. It's first all to come to the truth. But there's no order by which we all come to the truth at the same times on all of these various little subjects. God's always working on us individually. So, when people ridicule and they say, look, they've been saying from the foundations that, we're living in the end days. Yeah, that's true. They have. But like we said, it's never been plausible to even think that until now. And we know this in retrospect. Now, an interesting passage is in Hosea, the Lord says, after 2 days, he will revive us. And on the third day, he will lift us up and we will live in his sight. Now, of course, that makes us think about the death and resurrection of Jesus, and maybe that's typologically part of what this is pointing to, but there's something more than that. It's bigger than that. It says, after 2 days, he will revive us. The nation of Israel had been dead for 2,000 years. If a day with the Lord is 1,000 years and 1,000 years is a day, then he surely did revive them after 2 days. And on the third day, we're about to enter it. He will lift us up and we will live in his sight. And Jesus didn't say, when you see all these things happening, just, mumble against yourselves and say, look, they've been preaching this for generations. Well, how about if we act like we believe it's going to come to pass sometime? Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that be better? And isn't it better to look around and do what Jesus said? Look about. Lift up your heads and know your redemption is nigh. Know it. Your redemption is nigh. So, we may not get all of the eschatological things correct, all of the little issues and timing and everything. We may never figure it out. And nobody's ever going to get it all right. As much as we'd like to think we get it right. So, but the thing is, don't get discouraged by not knowing it all. Share what you know. Point to what you know. And the more you point to what you know, the more you're going to grow. You put that to the test. I guarantee you it's going to work. Didn't the Lord promise you? He says, take from the one that didn't give or didn't do anything with it and give it to the one that did a lot. And he says, to those that I give and they do something with it, I'm going to return it back to him again. I'm going to give him more to be responsible for. He meant that. We should earn that, man. That's out there for us. We can serve our master and serve our brethren and serve the word of the Lord to the people around us. So, with that being said, I've said enough. God bless you guys. I love you guys. We got some special studies coming up. One of them tomorrow night. Join me if you can. We love you. This is Eric. Call me anything you like. I've probably been called worse. We love you. God bless you.